Hello everyone, my name is Greta. Welcome to my channel and welcome to today's video where we are going to be talking all about reverse dieting. It is something that you probably have seen online. You might have seen people eating all of this food and not gaining weight and talking about how they are reverse dieting. So I'm here to tell you the what, the who, and the how. So let's get into it. Let's start with the what. What is reverse dieting? Now, of course, there's a lot of things that go into it, but when we break it down, all it basically is you gradually increasing your calories for a span of weeks or even months. And the end goal is to basically just increase your metabolic rate. It's so you can maintain your weight, but you are eating more than you were before. It is something that I am currently doing and it is great. You eat a lot of food, you have a lot of energy. Now, who is it for? Reverse dieting, it doesn't have necessarily like you need to fit in a specific category to do it, but it is basically for anyone who has yo-yo dieted a lot. If you are struggling maintaining your current weight, because you are eating a very low amount of calories. So for example, if your goal is to stay at like 120 pounds or just maintain the physique that you are in, but you're also eating low calories, like 1,200 calories to maintain that level of leanness, reverse dieting might be for you. Maybe you are struggling with binge eating. Reverse dieting might be for you because you will gradually be increasing your food. You are no longer going to be restricting. And honestly, once you have more food in your system, your binge cycle tends to slowly fade away. At least that's what helped me. Or you might be somebody that is just simply hungry all the time. You cannot be satiated on the amount of calories that you are eating. Or maybe you are somebody that is trying to lose the weight, but in order to lose the weight that you want, the only way to do it is that your calories would have to be very low and you aren't able to stick to that diet because the deficit is just way too harsh and odds are very unhealthy on your body. If you fit any of these categories, reverse dieting is probably for you. On my end, I began reverse dieting because one, I wanted to put on more muscle, and in order to do that, you need to be eating in a surplus. Two, I was binge eating. I just was always thinking about food, and I just knew that I needed to start increasing the amount of food that I was eating because I wasn't eating enough. And let me tell you, it is the best decision I ever made. So let's get into the how. First step is you are going to need to start calorie counting or tracking your macros, which is something that I do. Yes, it can get annoying. Yes, it can get a little bit repetitive, but you know what? It is something that in order to have a really good reverse diet, I personally think it's something that's very necessary to do. You need to first realize where your baseline is. Basically, you need to figure out how many calories do you need to eat per day to maintain where you are right now. So what I would personally do is take a week and track what you're eating. And I don't mean start dieting. I mean literally eat what you normally would eat, just log it and figure out where you stand and also weigh yourself to figure out if your weight is going up or down. And if it's maintaining, you figured out how many calories you need to eat per day to maintain your weight. So once you have that down, you can move on to step two. Step two is figure out what your goal is through this reverse diet. Is it because you are trying to, I don't want to use the word bulk because bulking is different, but are you trying to get to a certain level by a certain period of time? For example, maybe your goal is to gain a certain amount of muscle and you plan on cutting and you need to do that by a certain period of time. So that way your reverse diet would have an end time. You just got to figure out what your goal is for reverse dieting. Basically, for me, it is to gain muscle. So frankly, my reverse diet right now really doesn't have an end date. It's open-ended. What you do want to keep in mind is the faster you add calories in, the higher chance you have of gaining fat. If you are okay with that, then great. Some people are not. So frankly, the best way I see to do a reverse diet is to gradually increase your macros every week, or maybe once every 2 weeks, depending on how your body responds. For me personally, my numbers do not go up every single week. For example, I have remained steady on my current calories for the last 2 weeks, just because my body is very sensitive and I don't want to push it too much too fast. So slow and steady, honestly. This is a marathon, not a sprint. So once you have figured out what your maintenance calories are, once you figure out what your goals are, say you want to reverse diet for 6 months, then you begin to add calories. So usually you would add about 50 to 100 calories every single week. I believe the rule of thumb is to add about 5% of your calorie intake every single week, and that gets added on to your carbs and your fats. So again, let me use myself as an example. I get usually per week, my carbs go up between 10 to 20 grams, and then my fat for the most part remains the same, but every once in a while it will jump up by like a 5-gram increment. Nothing big. Usually it is your carbs that get that increase. My protein has stayed the same for the last probably like year. So basically week to week, you want to check in with yourself. You want to see how you're feeling, and then begin to slowly add those calories up. Number 4, track your progress. Whether it's taking pictures, whether it is journaling down how you're feeling, whether it is honestly checking in with yourself and seeing how you are feeling. You never want to push I don't want to say you never want to push yourself, but never push yourself to a point where mentally you are just miserable. That is the sole purpose why my calories do not go up by huge increments every single week, because frankly, I know that I would start getting bloated. I would just not feel good, and that in turn would mess with my mental health, and I'm not willing to give that up just for the sake of gaining some muscle. So check in with yourself I would say every 5 to 7 days. Really see how you're doing on the current calories that you're in, and that will determine whether you should continue to increase the next week or you should just hang steady, because sometimes your body might just need a few extra days, an extra week just to kind of stabilize at the calories that you have added in before you jump and add another 50, 100 calories. And then the final thing is, I guess a question that I think a lot of people ask is, when do you stop? When do you know that it's time to end your reverse diet and either stop and head into a maintenance mode, or some people actually increase their calories on purpose for the sole purpose of wanting to lean out? Most people stop their reverse diet once they hit their goal of how many calories they want to basically eat per day to maintain. So say you started off your reverse diet and you were eating 1,500 calories and your goal is to be eating 2,500 calories. So you would gradually increase and eventually your reverse diet would end once you hit that 2,500 calorie mark. Now, this is why I say that reverse dieting is not some magic thing, because you will ultimately gain some fat along with the muscle that you will be building through this period of time. Reverse dieting is not this magic way of eating everything you want and not gaining weight. For me personally, what I think is going to end up happening is, because my goal is to lean out, I will continue to be reverse dieting probably way past the point of the calories that I want to be maintaining on. And eventually, once I lean out, I can lean out with higher calories. And once I hit the point that I'm happy with my body and I'm comfortable and I've hit my goal, the calories will be at a place where it's very maintainable, very sustainable, and I won't be, eating on 1,200 calories a day just to maintain my physique, because that doesn't sound like a good time for me. So I hope these answered your questions. I've had some people message me asking about reverse dieting and what it exactly is, because I do talk about it. So hopefully this answered some of your questions, and if you have any more, leave them in the comments down below. If you have not subscribed to my channel, hit the button down below. I upload new videos every single week, and I will see you next time. Bye.